Hello again and welcome back to Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen. Today we're going to make a chicken enchilada with a tomatillo salsa, which is also known as a salsa verde, green salsa. And here's a jar that I made myself, and it's extremely easy. You can also buy a can in the grocery store where they sell, the same place where they sell the taco shells and the taco seasoning. But this is so easy to make, you're going to want to make it yourself. In the produce section they have tomatillas, and you've probably seen them. They look like little green tomatoes, and they're covered with a little brown skin on them. Well, you take the skin off, give them a good rinse, put them on a baking sheet with an onion that's been cut up, sliced up, and some garlic, and you roast it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And as to how many tomatillas, a handful, a pound's worth, depending on how much you want to make. Roast them at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes, and then it's as simple as, let's see if you can see my food processor here, putting them into a food processor, pulsing them until they reach the consistency that you want, and that's it. Put them in the refrigerator and you're good to go. So that's exactly what I've done, and here it is. And what I'm going to do first is I've got my baking dish, and this is just your generic 13 by 9 baking dish. And I'm going to start, let's see if you can, I zoom out. I'm going to start by putting the tomatillo salsa in the bottom of the dish so that we create a little sauce for our chicken enchiladas to cook in. And then next, what we're going to do is create a little bit of a black bean, not refried beans, but we're just going to give them a quick spin in the food processor so they get smushed, and we'll have, so we can use them as kind of a base for our chicken. So just a quick little spin in the food processor, and that's it. Actually, I think what I'm going to do is add some cumin in here. And I know I'm breaking all the rules by not standing directly in front of you at all times, but I'm here and you can hear me talking. So let's try some cilantro. I think that would be nice. Put some cilantro in there. And what else would we like? How about some red pepper flakes, depending on how much heat you would like, and coriander. And I'm still wondering, such a nice smell. And I'm still wondering where my cumin is. One second. Let me go back to my spice rack. Here we go. Okay. And some cumin. And then we'll give it another little spin. And I'm using probably not more than half a teaspoon. And that was with 1 can of black beans. A quick little pulse to get the flavors mixed together. And then for the chicken, all I did was I took 1 bone-in chicken breast, and it was actually just half of the breast, and I roasted it in the oven at 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes, and I sprinkled it with chili powder. And again, here's my, I'm going to reiterate my lesson, which is, that I've mentioned before, which is, if you can, if you go to a natural grocers or Whole Foods or one of those type of supermarkets where they have a bulk foods aisle, I buy my seasonings now in the bulk foods aisle, and this entire jar, which you can see that's a whole lot of chili powder, was probably $2.50. It's a huge bargain and a great way to shop for spices. So please do that. And so I seasoned, when I roasted my chicken breasts, I seasoned it with the chili powder. So we're going to add that in there. And then I've got my favorite cheddar with chipotle peppers in there, because as I said before, I like a little kick in my cheese, and that certainly goes with our theme for this evening, since we put the red peppers in the black beans. So now we're just going to get that sorted out, and now it's time to get things wrapped up. I've got some sprouted grain tortillas. So these are going to be very easy to use, and you know, they're healthy, good for you. Now, how easy will this be? So we're going to have a little assembly line here. We have our tortilla. We'll take a spoonful of our black bean dip and lay that down in a layer on top of our tortilla. Add a little bit of chicken, and then some cheese. And you know what I've just almost forgot is I have some fire roasted tomatoes, and I think those would be really nice just to add another flavor in there and keep them nice and moist. So now we're going to roll these up, and we'll put the seam side down, and I'm going to move this actually so that you can see. Seam side down, and then I'll just roll the rest of these up really quickly. And as you can see, this takes no time at all, and this is, again, I always preach this is something that you can get your kids involved with and let them enjoy helping to make dinner, because they're going to be a lot more interested in joining you at the dinner table if you have made them part of the dinner assembly process, because who doesn't like to eat what they've cooked? So chicken, tomato, black bean, roll, and then put in here seam side down, and we'll do two more. Whoops, that one tore. See? So we can just put that aside for right now. Of course, there would be absolutely nothing wrong with using it. So now I like doing different things with chicken, and I think chicken is one of the most versatile meats because, quite frankly, it's just pretty bland. And which is why it's important to add a lot of flavor in there, so that you give the chicken something to shine against. So there's another one, and then one more, and a little bit of, let's take that out, take the blade out, and we've got this going down. Now you can adjust the heat on this to the preferences of your family. If you've got family who love hot, spicy food, then by all means add more red peppers in. If not, don't. Omit that. If you've got little ones in the house and that's too much for them, take it out. The tomatillo salsa is not hot. The black beans are only hot because I added in all those red pepper flakes. The tomatoes are really not hot, but they've got a nice fire roasted flavor in them. So just adapt this to the taste of your family. So I'm doing one last one because we're just using up what's here. And then I'll show you how we're going to finish the dish. And some more cheese. And this final one goes in here. And as you could see, I think what I'm going to do actually, there's my final plate, but what I think I'm going to do, and some people will think this is sacrilegious, but I am going to trim the edges off of these tortillas just because they're empty, and that's just a lot of extra bready kind of thing that's not going to add anything to the dish. So don't be afraid to adapt a dish to your personal preferences. Nobody's eating this except you and your family, and it's your dish. Don't let anybody tell you what to do. So, okay, so there you go. That looks much more manageable and certainly much more attractive. So what I'm going to do now is pour the rest of this tomatillo sauce on here and the rest of my cheese. You can see I've got just a nice bunch of cheese, and yes, I am using my fingers, and yes, my hands are delightfully clean. I observed the 20-second rule of hand washing, where you're supposed to sing happy birthday to yourself while you stand at the sink washing your hands with soap and water. And supposedly the magic of 20 seconds is that is enough time to get all the offending bacteria and dirt off of your hands. So I promise you, I sang happy birthday to myself, even though my birthday is not for another 5 months. But, you know, every day should be your birthday. So there you go. This is now going to go into the oven for 20 to 30 minutes at 350. And really, all it's doing is heating up and letting the sauce get hot and the cheese melt, because everything in here is already cooked. The tomatoes have been cooked, the tomatillo sauce is cooked, the chicken is obviously cooked, even the black beans have been cooked. So everything's cooked, we're just heating it up. So that's why it doesn't really need a lot of time in the oven. So enjoy this dish, try this dish, and please try making the tomatillo salsa yourself. It's absolutely delicious, and you'll never want to buy another can of green sauce ever again, I promise you. Thank you again for joining us in Suzanne Elizabeth's Kitchen, and I'll see you next time. Enjoy your dinner. Good night.